Hi, I'm Maggie. Welcome to Experiments in Crafting. Tonight I have a whole bunch of ice yarns that I know a lot of you are excited for me to unbox. I'm going to give people a few minutes. I just sent out the Instagram and tweet and Facebook messages, and people should be getting the emails that we're live, so I want to give people a couple of minutes to get here and be able to join the stream and not miss out on the very beginning of unboxing. So I've got a few other things that I want to share with you. And one of those is it is National Crochet Month. A lot of you might not have heard of that. It's something that the Crochet Guild of America has been doing for like 19, 20 years. So they do that every year. I've also heard it now as National Crochet and Knitting Month. And so either way, like it's National Crochet Month. And so there used to be a whole lot of places that did Instagram challenges, and I've not seen very much of that. So I kind of made up my own, which is, I don't know, maybe that's a thing that people do, and I'm going to pull that up on my feed. And we're going to switch over to my my laptop view. So here is, oh, there, I can make it a little bit bigger. So this is the challenge that I sort of came up with. The idea here is that each of those days there's like a prompt, and you're supposed to try and take a picture that meets the prompt. You don't have to participate all days. You don't have to participate at all if you don't want to. But it's just something fun to do. If you do it and you want to tag me in it, you can just use hashtag Experiments in Crafting, and I'm kind of watching that that hashtag, and I'll try and comment if I see that you guys are posting with that. But so day one was introduce yourself. I posted a picture of myself. Day two was favorite color, and to nobody's surprise, that is purple. Day three is what's on your hook, and I shared an update of the mermaid that I'm working on. And so that's just today. So you're only, if you join me, and you want to post tonight, you're only 2 days behind. So you can definitely just do the rest of the month if you guys want to participate with me. It's going to Instagram, but it also goes onto my Facebook, so you can also do it there as well if you don't use Instagram. I guess it probably also gets posted to Twitter, but very, very few craft people use Twitter. So as far as I've seen. So, anyway, that was just something kind of fun that I'm doing. If nothing else, it forces me to post to Instagram more regularly. Hopefully I'll manage to do them all, but we'll see around the 16th if I've given up. We'll see. I'm going to try not to, but we'll, see what happens. So, I think a number of you have joined us. I've seen a little bit of chat before the stream got started. I know there's people above Helen that I missed out, but that's as far back as my chat goes on my screen. So Helen, Elizabeth, Tracy, Copperpot, all welcome. Thanks for joining me. Welcome to everyone else out there. One of the things that I could ask sort of early on, if you're looking forward to the stream or you've joined us before and you like the stream, if you could hit that like button, it does make it so more people see it if they're just on YouTube. Like, if they're just on YouTube and they're on their own home screen, and this video is live and getting likes, like, YouTube will show it to more people. So more people might get to join in and see the ice yarn unboxing. So, if you don't mind hitting that like button, if you're new here and you want to subscribe to the channel, I also would love for you to join us and get updates when we go live. So, Stephanie's back. Welcome. I can show real quick. We're just kind of buying a little bit of time, just letting people join us for the ice yarn, because I know a lot of people are really excited for it. So, I definitely got it ready to go. I'm trying to give people a few minutes. So these were the tweets that I sent out. The introduce yourself, me. Sorry, they were Instagram posts. The posts that I put up, they actually went out as tweets as well, but they're more importantly Instagram posts. So this is me in the craft room recording some of my basic stitch tutorials. And I was doing it in a tiara because why not? On those videos, it's a hands down, like over the shoulder type of view. And so I'm not in it, so I can wear whatever I want. Favorite color was a mishmash of purple yarns that I pulled out and some purple projects that I finished recently. For those of you looking or watching the channel regularly, both of those yarns that are fingerless gloves there have video reviews to go with them. That is Lion Brand Winter Nights and Lion Brand Retweed. So, and then the on the hook is the mermaid, and I will actually show you guys that more in person later on in the stream. All right. I'm gonna set my laptop aside. Helen asked a question about how to get to Facebook, and my husband beat me to answering it with a link directly to the Facebook. I did go through the Facebook group. So when you go to a Facebook page, there's then a group that you can join. And they're two separate things, and you don't join both automatically, but there should be a button now that says join the group. And it'll ask you some questions. If you've been on Facebook a year and you answer the 2 questions I put on there, you'll automatically get accepted. If you've been on Facebook less than a year or you don't answer the questions, then it'll go to me to approve you to join the group. And then you can post and share with each other as well as with me. So you should be able to share posts, like if we are talking about a project and you want to share pictures, those should be able to go on the Facebook group. So things like that should be able, the group should be functional now. It should allow people to join and hang out in there. So I will try. I don't think so. When I post to Instagram, it automatically posts to my Facebook page, but I don't think my Facebook page automatically posts in the group. So I'll try and share some of these Instagram pictures and the Instagram challenge stuff in there so people can participate along with it. So we're gonna do the yarn unboxing. You think we're good to go on that? Okay. Let's go ahead and start on the Ice Yarns unboxing. I do have a few other things that I want to share with you guys. We'll do that after the Ice Yarns because I know a lot of people are excited for that. So I've already opened this up because it came in the giantest shipping bag ever. So it's just shipping bag, no box or anything like that. Oh, sorry, that might have been super loud. It was right under the microphone. I'm going to set this down next to me, but this is the Mega Ice Yarns bag. All right. So, top of the package is an Ice Yarns bag. Just a little canvas bag with a iron-on decal on both sides. Just a cute little bag, kind of a little bonus. Yeah. Oh, Helen says that she doesn't think she's seen any of the tutorials. There's only a handful, but they are up on the channel. If you go to playlists from the channel, you should be able to get to them pretty easily. My husband will probably drop a link into there so you can see them. And I did make the scarf that I'm wearing. This is out of Leading Men Fiber Arts yarn here, and then this is a little bit of Cascade on the edge. And it's a speckled gradient, so it gets more and more speckly as it builds. So there's just a tiny amount of speckle here, just a little bit of blue, and goes out to a very speckly yarn. So it's a little bit different type of gradient, but it was kind of a fun thing. But back to the Ice Yarns. So this is the first one. So for those of you who've never ordered from Ice Yarns or looked at their website, they're a wholesale seller. So you can't just go on and order one ball of anything. You have to order a bag. So I would have preferred to get, and anyone who's seen any of my unboxings or any of my reviews, I always like to get like 10 colors, but only one ball of each. Or 3 colors and only one ball of each. But in this case, I had to buy only one color and get multiple balls of the same. Ice Yarns ships out of Turkey. We ordered quite a bit of yarn, as you'll see here very shortly. Shipping was pretty expensive. About 50% of the total cost, I think, right? Well, it was 33% of the total cost, but I think it was 50% of like what we spent on yarn. Or pretty close there.
I'll check it. I don't
Yeah.
think it was quite so high.
It was high. It was lightning fast, though. I think we placed the order on Tuesday, and I think it was here on Saturday morning.
We placed it on Tuesday.
Yeah, we placed it at Tuesday at like 11:30 our time, and it was here Saturday from Turkey, and that was clearing customs and everything. So, super, super fast shipping, but very expensive. But anyway, those of you in Canada, $50 or $60 or whatever we spent on shipping might not be that bad. But for the US, that's pretty high shipping. So this is the first yarn out of the bag. I apologize. The cellophane that these are wrapped in is super loud, and the microphone's going to pick it up as I open it. I'll try and do minimum touching. All right. So first yarn up is Alpaca Active. This was recommended by one of the viewers. He or she sent me a message on Ravelry, and recommended that Alpaca Active was a yarn that they had used and liked, and it is a very nice feeling yarn. It does have quite a bit of halo. That's pretty common with alpaca yarns. I don't know that these have named colorways like we might be used to. I don't think this has any indication of a... Oh, wait. You know what? Here that is. So this is Alpaca Active Light Pink Gold Burgundy Fuchsia Maroon. Is what this one is called. I will go through kind of my normal way and let you know what's in each of them. So this is 20% alpaca, 20% wool, and 60% premium acrylic. It is a 100-gram ball. It's 550 meters. Interestingly, it says 550 meters plus or minus 5%, which I thought was kind of an interesting, like, realistic thing. Nobody's ever measured out every meter. Well, I guess some people might have. But rarely would you buy a ball of yarn and, like, measure every meter out. I'm certainly not going to measure 550 meters out. But it's interesting that they noted that it's plus or minus 5%. They are saying that this is a number 2 fine weight yarn. That's a sport weight, is, like, the common word for it. And they are recommending a 3mm knitting needle or which is a US 3 knitting needle. Usually when you're talking about knitting needles to crochet hooks, they're either the same or slightly larger on the crochet hook. So, a 3mm, probably up to a 4mm, which would be like an E to G hook, somewhere in there. So, closest is 3.5 to 3.5 is an E, and then a G hook is a 4.25 millimeter. So probably somewhere in that range for crochet hook. Let's see. Dream Design Crochet says, hi, welcome. Angela got home in time for the unboxing. I literally just opened the first one, so you made it in time. So this is, again, Alpaca Active from Ice Yarns, in the light pink, gold, burgundy, and fuchsia. Light pink, gold, burgundy, fuchsia, and maroon color. And you can see all those colors mixed in here pretty well. They're actually really pretty. I was thinking that this color would work well. My mom likes a lot of these bright pinks and fuchsias. So I might make her something out of this. And she occasionally watches, so she'll find out if she is. But yeah, nice colors. Really nice soft yarn. Fine weight with quite a bit of halo. So, all right. Move that off to the side. And let's see what else we got. This one's up next. This is Baby Alpaca. Baby Alpaca Merino cotton in light green. Try that one more time. Baby Alpaca Merino cotton. And it is 22% baby alpaca, 22% extra fine merino wool, 56% cotton. So 100% natural fiber, split between wool, cotton, and alpaca. It is a number 3 lightweight, which would be a DK weight. These are 50-gram balls. They are 200 meters, which makes it about 400 meters per 100 grams. That's probably fine listed as a DK weight, but probably really more of a sport weight. By my mental math, probably closer to a sport weight. They are recommending a 3 to 4 millimeter knitting needle, which is a US 3 to 6. Again, I generally see crochet hooks added, like they're usually at or just slightly above what they recommend for a knitting needle. I've never seen crochet hook sizes listed smaller than the equivalent for a knitting needle. Sorry. I thought I silenced my phone. Anyway, this is, again, light green. Light green. This is a pretty nice feeling yarn. It's pretty soft and silky. It does, again, have quite a bit of halo. But again, that's pretty typical of alpaca. So I think you guys can probably see the halo in the, if I put my hand here, you can see that there's quite a bit of fuzz coming up off of the yarn. So, really a nice soft yarn. I'm pretty excited to make something out of this. It feels like a really nice yarn for a spring project. Like a big spring shawl, I'm thinking.
Does the alpaca actually feel like good quality alpaca? Because I know sometimes you've talked about big box stores having natural fibers, but they weren't the nicest. How does that feel?
So in my hand right now, this alpaca feels pretty nice. So what my husband was asking is, does the alpaca feel like nice quality, or does it feel like cheaper alpaca? This is baby alpaca. Baby alpaca generally is much softer, and this feels very soft. If you go into like Hobby Lobby and buy like, or maybe it's Lion Brand, somebody owns one called like Touch of Alpaca, and the alpaca is not great. It's kind of coarse and it's a little bit pokey, and it's fine, but it's not like the alpaca you'd get if you went to a fiber show and bought alpaca from Alpaca People. My husband and I, a couple years ago, and you can look on the channel, there's a video of the Alpaca National Show was in the area. And so we went, and there were just some amazing alpaca yarns. They were just the softest, nicest yarns, but they were from the Alpaca National Show. It was the nicest alpaca. And just like wool, there's good wool and scratchier wools and different treatments and different fiber sizes. And so a lot of times when you get big box alpaca, you get not great quality alpaca. So this feels like very nice alpaca, but again, it's baby alpaca, which tends to just be nicer in general. But in my hand, it does not feel prickly. I'm not feeling any of the fiber. It's actually baby alpaca and extra fine merino. Merino is a nice fiber, and then extra fine merino would make it even nicer. So I think that this is just probably a really nice yarn. And I don't know what these cost because I don't remember any of them, but I don't think we paid more than like $12 for any bag of yarn. You got it up?
That was $10
$10 for the whole bag, and there's 8 in here, so a little over $1 a piece. Something like that?
Yep. And the previous Alpaca Active was also $10.
Okay. So, just so you guys have a reference, this was $10 for the 4 balls that we got, making it $2.50 a ball. This was 8 balls, but they're 50-gram ball. So same amount, 400 grams of yarn. So that was 4 100-gram balls. This is 8 50-gram balls, still 400 grams total. Also $10. So $1.25 a piece, I think, is, my math is correct. Something like that. It is worth noting 2 things. One, I paid for all this yarn and the shipping, so like this isn't a sponsored video. And 2, Ice Yarns runs big sales on Tuesdays. So tonight's the night. If you're like excited or you see something, you should at least check the prices on there. They might have them on like mega sale. It's really, really hard not to buy just everything, because you'll see on there it's like, oh, this is 60 cents a ball. Well, how can I not get 8 of them? And obviously you have to get a whole bag, like I said, because it's a wholesale. But at 60 cents a piece, it's cheaper to get 8 of them than it is to just go get 1 ball of this from like a yarn store. But then you'll quickly realize you can't buy thousands of balls of yarn and pay for the shipping. Like it gets out of...
It was
$70 for shipping for the whole big bag. So, which is a great deal, like, for the amount of yarn. Even if you divide the shipping up amongst every ball, it just gets really expensive. So, set this aside. Last time, baby alpaca merino cotton in light green. Okay. Moving on. Let's see. This is not alpaca. I think we have this in 2 colors, maybe. Universe? Universe. Okay. So, both of these yarns are Universe. And again, if you're just joining us, I apologize for the cellophane. It is so loud. What you guys don't see very intentionally is that the microphone's like right up here. So, everything on the table that makes noise transfers really readily. Alright, so I'm going to slide these guys off to the side, and I've got Universe. These are green, turquoise, navy, and pink, black, purple. So those are the... Again, they don't really have names for their colorways, like, Lion Brand has, like, names. Like, this one's not called Peacock, and this one's called, you know, Purple Passion or something like that. It's just... They just list the colors out. This is Universe. Universe is a number 4 weight yarn, which makes it worsted weight. It's a 100-gram ball, 230 meters. It's 19% wool, 11% acrylic, 70% polyamide. Polyamide, I believe, ends up being nylon. It's just the non, like, trade name. It's the, like, more chemical sounding name. I think it's the generic. They recommend a 5mm knitting needle, which is a US 8, and so probably like a 5.5 to 6mm, which is an IJ hook, for crochet hook, probably something in there. They don't give crochet hook recommendations. This is a chainette style yarn, and it looks kind of like the chainette is shiny. Probably the nylon or the polyamide. We're going to try and get in close enough if I hold still long enough. So it's a chainette style yarn. And what you can see is there's like a whole bunch of fuzz sticking out of the chainette. So sometimes chainette yarns are filled with like fiber fill or fluff or something like that. I don't know if you guys can see me picking this open. This one actually seems to be full of like wool. And it all just like sticks out of the chainette thing. So, like I said, 19% wool, 11% acrylic. So the filling is probably a wool acrylic blend, and then this shiny tube is probably nylon. If I was guessing. I don't know that for sure, but it is a really soft yarn. It probably will have a little bit of trouble frogging, because it does have this pretty aggressive halo. But seems like a really nice, like, silky, slippery yarn. Huh? Yeah, it really catches the light nice. I think it would probably make a really nice accessory set. So I have 400 grams of this. So I could see this being a, like, one ball for a hat, one ball for fingerless gloves, one ball for a cowl, and you'd still have a ball left. My husband will probably make a hat on the circular knitter. And then, of course, I've got it in these peacock colors as well, which are just as pretty. Let me check up on some comments here. Let's see. Dream Design says that they've never tried ice yarns and really want to try. So far, I've been pretty impressed with them. We'll go through here. This is the first time we've ordered from them. There were just so many requests from everybody that we just went ahead and ordered and just kind of picked at random. A couple of people made recommendations to me, either on chat or, like I said, somebody contacted me via Ravelry. And so we just went ahead and bought some stuff based on what we liked. Yeah, Copperpot likes the sound of the bags. Madonna says that Universe is awesome, one of their favorite yarns. So I literally only have the experience of just holding it in my hand. It feels like a nice yarn. It doesn't feel like real cheap acrylic and like squeaky. But again, it is partially wool, so that might be like a lot of times when the halo is real acrylic-y, it makes kind of a scratchy, squeaky sound that I don't care for. And that's not doing this. But I think that the halo is mostly actual wool. So that's helping it quite a bit. And then you can feel the silky, like, nylon part underneath. Helen says that the purple is her favorite color. I really like it. It's really pretty kind of combination. So yeah, I think it's gonna make it a really nice set. Joy says it's so shiny, and asked what project that Madonna had used it for, and she responded for a scarf. And somebody else did an unboxing, and they decided that they had to have some. So might be the same here. More people might be getting Universe. And Val says that she never knew that yarn could be filled. So generally, it's the chainette style yarns that can be filled. And I'll show you another one. I've got a cotton tube yarn in here as well. But yeah, what they do is they make like a knit tube, and then they fill it with stuffing, like probably as they're knitting it. And that works up just like a yarn, which kind of allows them to use a really, really fine yarn and still use it for crochet and knit type applications, where it would normally be like the same thickness as like a single sewing machine thread. So that's the same here. They probably had an easier time getting nylon very, very fine. And the only way that like a crocheter will use it is if it's heavier. So what they do is they make it into a strong, heavier tube, and then they fill it with some sort of stuffing to give it a little bit of puff, rather than it working up like tape, or like raffia, like where it would work up as like a flat strip. They want it to stay round. So if you just make a chain, it's going to collapse and be flat. And if you want it to be round, with some like oomph behind it, they have to fill it with something. And so in this case, it's filled, it seems like wool and acrylic, based on their percentages here. And Val says that she's new here and the channel popped up. So welcome. For those of you who hit like, that probably helped Val find the channel. Sounds like it popped up on her YouTube. So welcome. Thanks for joining us. And thank you all for hitting like when you did and making it so other people can find the channel too. What's that? Yeah, if you haven't already hit like, it would be great if you continue to hit like as you guys join. I try not to like beg or ask too often, but it really does when we're doing live streams. If you hit like, it really does help new people find us. So welcome to the channel. I think I skipped a comment or two here. Okay, yeah. Vel's saying that she likes ice yarns, but you gotta buy a bunch. That is true. You do have to buy a full bag. So whether it's 4 or 6 or 8, you've got to buy a whole bag of the colorway because it's a wholesale business. But it's a really good if you know that you like something and you want to do a big project, a blanket, a sweater, something like that. It's a great way to get super cheap yarn. Even with the shipping added in, it still, I think, comes in cheaper than like just going to the store and buying a bunch of $6 balls of yarn. Let's see. Maggie May says that the universe color is wonderful. I really like it. This was, like I said, this was one that was recommended by a viewer, and I think it was a good recommendation. So really, really deep, intense, shiny colors. Let's see. Vel asked what the channel's about. So primarily, it's a crochet and yarn channel. I don't knit. My husband does a little bit of machine knitting, so like circular knitting machine, and so we occasionally will have a knit sample or two, but primarily I do crochet and yarn reviews. We generally live stream every Tuesday at 8 o'clock. Sometimes those are yarn unboxings like tonight. Sometimes they're general question and answer. Sometimes they're tutorials on how to use maybe an aspect of Ravelry or take a look. Like one week we took a look at ice yarns and hobby yarns, and I had the viewers help me make some decisions on what we were going to order, things like that. So it's kind of a mixed bag of fiber arts related things. But the tutorials are really what I like to do. They just take a lot longer to produce. So both my husband and I work full-time jobs, and so this is kind of just a hobby side project for us. And so getting tutorials filmed takes a little bit longer, but we have basic crochet tutorials up, and then a couple of more in-depth stitch tutorials, and quite a few yarn reviews, in-depth yarn reviews, and a whole bunch of unboxing live videos. So give the channel a look around, and you can always find me on Facebook or Instagram and ask any additional questions. Both locations you can find me at Experiments in Crafting. Let's see. Elizabeth said the best way to order from ICE is a big order, 40 skeins to about $3.50 a piece, which was still a good deal. And so yeah, I agree. I think if you can swing putting a big order in all at once, then that ends up being the best bang for your buck. My husband's saying that we ended up spending $2 per skein because of the quantity we ordered and the deals we got, but that's including shipping, right? So that's including shipping, but so the more you order, depending on the prices and the shipping kind of hits a peak at a certain point and just then kind of levels off. But apparently we ended up with 108 skeins. So we've got a lot more to open up, so I'm going to stop talking and move on. So, let's see. Val says that she likes the style already and will spread the word. Thank you very much. That helps us out a lot just in getting the word out and getting people to see what we're doing. And I'm glad you're enjoying it so far. And Helen asks what the pattern I'm wearing tonight. I don't know, but I'm positive it's a Rachie Newen design. Mostly because of these peaks. I would almost bet money that it's called Color Me Crazy. Because I think that's the pattern that I like that has these really sharp peaks on the edge, and was an open lacy pattern. I'm positive it's a Rishi Nguyen Designs pattern, but I think it's Color Me Crazy. I can take a look on my Ravelry and let you know if I've got it posted on there. My husband might beat me to it.
No, I can't find it because we're not friends on Ravelry.
Oh, fun. All right. Apparently, I'm not friends with my husband on Ravelry. All right, so the next one I've got these two yarns here. So I have Silk Merino and Silk Merino DK, which are the same base yarn apparently, but one's a fine weight yarn and the other's a DK weight yarn. So I'm going to open these up and show these to you. This is Silk Merino in emerald green. It's pretty teal for emerald, but it's really, really pretty. It's not as silky as I would expect for something called Silk Merino. It is 35% silk, 65% merino wool. It feels really nice. It'd probably feel fantastic once it's been worked into something and like washed and blocked. But my initial impression is that it's just a little bit I don't know. It's not scratchy. It's just not as soft as I would have expected for a silk merino yarn. These are, let's see, 25 gram balls. They're 190 meters. They recommend a 2 to 3 millimeter knitting needle, which is a US 0 to 3. And they are a number 1 super fine, which is a fingering or sock weight yarn. I had to buy 6 balls of this. And at 25 grams, I've got 150 grams total here. So that's enough to do a really nice size shawl. 100 grams of fingering weight is enough to do a shawl. To get a nice big shawl, like the one that I'm wearing, that's 150 grams. 150 grams total in the whole bag.
That was $9.
So my husband's saying that this was $9 for this bag, and there were 6 in there. So what's that? $1.50 a piece? Is that my math really bad there? 3, 6, 9. No, my math is right. $1.50 a piece. Interestingly, the Silk Merino DK doesn't really look like the Silk Merino. So if I can get this, and so what I was noticing on Ice Yarn's website is a lot of their yarns just look like they were like plied and then plied again. And what I mean by that is it sort of just looked like they took 2 of these and twisted them together. And this yarn does not look like that. These kind of look like totally different yarns. This one's pretty loosely sorry, I shouldn't say this one. The green one is very loosely plied together, not much twist at all. And the DK weight, the purple one, is just like pretty normal looking. Kind of a nice medium twist. The plies look pretty well held together. The DK weight is 35% silk, 65% merino, same as the other. These are 50 gram balls. They are 140 meters. And they are a number 3 lightweight or a DK weight. They recommend a 4 millimeter knitting needle or US 6 needle. So that is, let's see if they can. This is Silk Merino DK in purple. Just purple. So purple and emerald green are the 2 here. The emerald green is a fingering weight, sock weight, or number 1, depending on what you want to call it. The purple is a DK weight or number 3 or lightweight yarn. The purple, you get 4 balls in a bag. That's 200 grams total. And you got a price on those? $12 for the bag. Making those $3 a piece. So those were on the pricey side. It obviously all like leveled out. We must have bought some really cheap yarn somewhere in there, to bring the total price with shipping and everything. We averaged $2 a ball. All right. Let's see what else we got in here. We'll go with this one. This is Angora print. And they did not put a color number on here, or color name or anything. These are pretty big balls. This is called Blue Shades Turquoise Shades. And these are 100-gram balls. They feel bigger than that. I don't know. Maybe it's just because I've handled so many tiny ones over there. Let's see. We've got 20% Angora, 20% wool, 60% acrylic. They're 100-gram balls, 530 meters. They're calling it a number 2 fine weight yarn. I would say that 530 meters in 100 grams puts it well into fingering weight. So it is 20% Angora. Angora might puff up a crazy amount, and so they want you to work it up like a sport weight. But 530 meters would definitely, normally I start, like, in my head when I think about it, if it's 100 grams and it's 450 or higher, it's definitely into fingering weight. It looks fine enough to be fingering weight or sock weight, but again, the Angora, which I've never worked with, Angora is from rabbit. Actually, you got to be careful saying Angora because there are Angora goats, I think, as well. I think that's where cashmere comes from. I might be making that up, but I'm near positive that that's true. My husband's fact checking me right now, but Angora comes from rabbits. It's rabbit fur. It feels very soft, but again, it's 60% acrylic. And I think what I'm feeling in my hands is probably the acrylic. It's a little bit, I don't really have a word for it. Scratchy is not the word, but maybe rough, just a little rougher than it is like soft and cozy. What's...
Okay, so Angora is rabbit.
Angora is rabbit.
Mohair is basically the same thing, but from Angora goats.
Okay, mohair is from Angora goats.
And then cashmere comes from the Angora goat. Or wait, no, cashmere comes from the cashmere goat.
Okay, and cashmere comes from cashmere goats. Okay. So I mixed that up a little bit, but I did know that there was Angora goats. So this is Angora, it's from rabbit. But there is Angora goats, which make mohair. So this is Angora from rabbit. This is the Angora print yarn from Ice Yarns. Again, these are 100-gram balls, so I've got 400 grams here. And my husband will give me a price while I bag it back up. $6 for the bag. All right, so this whole bag we paid $6 for, so those average out $1.50 per 100 grams. Again, with shipping, we average $2 a ball. So, all right, moving on. I have the one I think that my husband was most excited about when we ordered. This is Tiramisu Cashmere in dark navy. And this bag has 10 balls in it. They are each 30-gram balls, and they are 360 meters. They have this listed as a number 1 superfine yarn. Number 1 superfine yarn. This is really a lace weight. It's well, unless they're held two together. But even so, based on that math, 30 grams at 360, you're well over 1,000 meters per 100 grams. That's definitely lace weight. This yarn is 20% cashmere, 64% superwash extra fine merino wool. Do you know what the balance is based on the website? Because that's as far as my label goes. But 20 plus 64 is only 84, so 16% needs to be something else. it is so soft. I know it looks really, really dark on camera. It's definitely navy blue, but it's like this close to being black. 16% polyester, elite polyester. So 20% cashmere, 64% superwash, extra fine merino wool, 16% polyester. And again, this is the Tiramisu cashmere in navy blue. I'll show you guys in a little bit, but I picked up a loom over the weekend, and I've begun learning to weave. And I think that this might make a really, really nice scarf. Maybe I might consider going back and ordering. I think this Tiramisu cashmere only comes in like 3 colors, like navy gray and white or something like that. But I could see this working really nicely with a gray and making a really nice plaid scarf. It is just the softest yarn. Like, I don't really want to put it down. It's so soft and squishy. And just the smoothest, silkiest, softest. You really can feel the cashmere in there. A lot of times I feel like when you get a cashmere blend, you don't always feel the cashmere. This, I'm feeling the cashmere. I think that this is multiple yarns intended to hold together. So maybe 4, it looks like 3 yarns meant to hold together. Similar to, what are those yarns? Red Heart, It's a Wrap Rainbow, or It's a Wrap Sprinkles, or I'm trying to look over my yarn stash. There's a couple others. Lion Brand came out with a couple where you're meant to just hold like 2 or 3 together all at the same time. And work them like they're one yarn. Which works fine, but can be a little bit splitty and hard to keep yarns together. So, again, that is Ice Yarns, Tiramisu, Cashmere. I think this was pricey. 10 balls.
$15.
Okay, so it's 10 balls, and it was $15 for the bag. So still only $1.50, but it's 84% wool and cashmere. So like 20% cashmere, 64% wool. At $1.50 a ball. You really, like, realistically, you could go into a yarn store and buy 20% cashmere yarn for over $10 per ball. And even that would be like, that's pricey, but like a normal price for cashmere. So $1.50 a ball is really, really insane pricing. So, but again, you've got to import it from Turkey and pay for the shipping, which is a little pricey. All right. I know somebody said that they were excited to see Rockstar. Rockstar was the yarn that I was most excited about. I got the most recommendations about, and bought the most colors of. So, I really trusted you guys on your recommendation. We really liked looking at it online. So I have 1 bag of Rockstar and 3 bags of Rockstar colors. It's the same yarn, but it's a multicolor option. This is also a tube style yarn. It's also filled. So I'm going to open these up and I'll pull one of each color out.
This is the one Elizabeth Stephen before the stream started.
Who said that?
Elizabeth Stephen.
Okay, so Elizabeth said that she was most excited about Rockstar, and so hopefully she's still with us and is...
Well, she bought it.
Oh, she had bought it before. Okay. So, well, she might not have gotten Rockstar Colors, because I think it's pretty new.
She liked it.
Oh, Colors was one that she had. Okay, so... Alright, well... I don't tell you. Alright, so here's the 4 colors that I've got. Again, they don't have names, but I've got Rockstar in Copper. I know this one's called Yellow and Violet, I'm pretty sure. Anyway. Light Yellow Lilac is this one here. Pink shades, gray shades is this one. And maroon turquoise shades. So yellow, yellow lilac, pink and gray, turquoise and maroon, and copper. Let's see. Let's get some information about Rockstar. Rockstar is 19% merino wool, 70% polyamide, 11% acrylic. It is a 50-gram ball, 115 meters. They say that that is a number 4 weight yarn. My math agrees with that. And they recommend a 4 to 5 millimeter knitting needle, which is a US 6 to 8. One of the things that I haven't been doing, but I can let you know here, they are saying to wash it in cold water, and it doesn't look like they want you to use bleach or an iron. I think that's the symbol for hand wash. So hand wash in, well, actually it says hand wash in 30-degree water, but I don't know if that's 30F or 30C, and that makes a big difference. 30F would be pretty warm water. Oh yeah, 30F is ice. You're right. So yes, it's 30C, which makes it slightly above body temperature. So warm water. So they're recommending wash it in warm water, lukewarm. And I believe that's the symbol for hand washing. It's like a bucket with little waves on top. So copper. This is the turquoise and maroon. It's really, really pretty. Hopefully you guys can see it pretty well here. Really, really shiny. I'm going to double check the stats here real quick. I think they're the same. I think that the balls are just wound slightly different. So still 50 grams, still 115 meters. Oh, the blend is actually slightly different. So Rockstar Colors is 19% merino, which is the same, 19% acrylic, which is slightly higher, and 62% polyester, which is slightly lower. So this was 19, 11, and 70, and this is 19, 19, and 62. So there's slightly more acrylic and slightly less polyester, but the same amount of wool by weight. This one has slightly more polyester and less acrylic. It's probably just the blend of hair inside. My suspicion here is, again, that the tube is nylon or polyamide, and that the filling is an acrylic wool blend. It's very similar to the other yarn that I showed you, where it is a chainette style construction. Universe. Chainette style construction with like fuzz sticking out of the chain. So you can't easily pull this fuzz off, but it is really tall. Like there's the edge of the fuzz with my finger. So there's like an inch of fuzz total. So it's quite a bit of look to it. Let's see. Let's check some comments here. Copperpot's saying that Rockstar Colors are really pretty. Let's see. Elizabeth said that she bought the blue and purple as well. I think it's really, really pretty. Val's asking if it's slippery and does it knot well. Let's see. It's not real slippery. It's less slippery than the Universe yarn. Seems to knot just fine. I'm not having too much trouble pulling the knot back out. A little bit there. It wants to grab a little bit. It's probably going to be on the difficult side to pull out stitches if you had to. So I can make slip knots on it pretty well, but I can feel the hairs grabbing on each other. So as you pull it out, if you had to frog a project or pull stitches out on knitting, it might be a little bit difficult. You might have to work real slow because that hair is just gonna grab onto each other and not want to let go. The chainette style makes it pretty strong, so you can usually like pull pretty good on it. usually yarns that have a whole lot of hair, in a lot of cases, like roving style yarns are really loosely spun, and you can't like yank on them because if you pull really hard, they separate and fall apart. But chainette style yarns are super strong, and so you can usually give them a pretty good tug. And so even if they're a little bit harder to pull your stitches out if you make a mistake, you've got a little bit of forgiveness in the construction of the yarn. Crafty Mama says the yarn's gorgeous. It would make a beautiful shawl. I agree. I probably am gonna make a cowl. I love shawls, and actually I have enough here that I could make a really good size shawl. I love shawls, but I seem to wear cowls more. Like, if I'm gonna grab something and wear it, a lot of times I'll throw a cowl on and just have it away from my throat, and I don't have to like worry about it falling off. And so yeah, I think I probably will at least make a cowl out of this. Valsing, sometimes shiny yarns won't hold an ending knot. Yeah, I do know what you're talking about there. Real slippery yarns. One of the yarns I have in the bag here at the end is going to be a really slippery one. Usually what I do with yarns that slippery is I'll make a really good knot and then I will leave a really long tail and just go nuts on sewing my tail in, making sure that I go through a lot of stitches and then back through those same stitches. Yeah, you skip one and then go back through all the rest. And I do that several times because that way, if it does slip, that it's caught for a really long time. It would take a really long time for it to unravel. And I haven't had much problem with that. But I do know what you're talking about. It becomes a problem if you got a real slippery yarn. A lot of times, when you work your first chain, that knot will start slipping, and that very first chain can sometimes be like near impossible to work into because that chain sort of like collapses as it slips. So yeah, then these other colors I'm just going to kind of show here. I'll turn a little bit for the camera, so you guys can see in a little bit more detail. There's some kind of lump here. My husband says this looks like an onion. So there's a knot here, in this yarn. It's not a great looking knot, but chainette style yarns are pretty hard to knot together because they don't like, they're just big and they don't want to, and then like they frayed pretty badly. So I would probably cut that knot out and join properly, like I'm joining two different balls together. But it's a pretty good size knot there. It's not gonna come undone, but it's not pretty. So you can see a little bit more of the purple here in the center. I think this is gonna make a really pretty like spring item. I'm not sure what, but something pretty. And then this pink and black. I really thought the pink and black was pretty. I still do in person. It's a little bit different, like pairing, and I'm not sure what I'm going to use it for, but I really do like it. So yeah, that's.
The one thing that I'm noticing is that the colors are a lot more intense on the website. Like in person, they're subdued over what you see on the website.
So my husband thinks that the colors are a little bit more subdued in person than they are on the website. I kind of thought that they were pretty accurate, personally, but it might be monitor dependent as well. My monitor on my laptop is pretty dull, and our external monitors are better, but sliding it over to this monitor is dull too, so it might look accurate over here. But yeah, so there's the three colors that I've got in Rockstar Colors, as well as the copper. The copper feels just a little bit shinier and slipperier than the Rockstar Colors. All right, toss these guys aside. What else we got?
This is the
I don't see it. Oh. Yeah. So I guess that is something to note. The colors on your screen are never exactly what you're going to get in person. Whether they're brighter or duller or slightly redder or greener or whatever. You take that chance when you order online. So, we do have really good lighting in here, but depending on what you're watching it on, our feed should be color accurate. What you're watching it on might not be, just because a lot of things are not. But hopefully you get a pretty accurate representation of what these colors look like. So the color of this yarn really reminds me of a shawl that I made out of shawl and a ball. Right here. So this is shawl and a ball, or shawl and a cake, depending. And then so these colors I thought were like really, really close. But this has a lot of gold in it that the shawl and a cake does not. This yarn also has quite a bit of halo. This is Marella, Mirella. Marella in pink shades, blue lilac is all I can read on here. But really, really pretty, like intense colors. So pink. Sorry, I have the hiccups a little bit. Purple, blue, pink, and then there's a little bit of white, and the whole thing is gold throughout. So there's like a gold thread twisted in here. Let's see. Stats on this. This is 15% mohair. So this is from the Angora goat, not Angora from rabbits. 15% mohair, 35% acrylic, 40% polyamide, and 10% metal lurex, which is the shiny metal, like thread in here. I guess this is chainette style. It's actually really hard to tell because it looks twisted. Sorry, I gotta hold still so that he can change where the camera's at. Because it kind of looks like a barber pole, like it's striped like a candy cane. With fuzz sticking out, but I'm pretty sure it's still a chainette construction. It's not actually twisted. I don't really care for the type of glitter yarn where they wrap the thread around the outside. I prefer that it's integrated in some fashion, and this is integrated, so it's mixed in a way that it can't slip up and down, and it doesn't like itch or rub on your hand as you work it. It's shockingly soft for a yarn with metallic string in it. A lot of times a yarn with like a little metally detail is a little bit itchy. I've never found that with the, what do they call that? No, the metal mixed in. What do they call that? Stellina. So I've never found any yarns with stellina mixed in to be itchy or scratchy. Stellina is the metal looking fiber that they like mix in with the yarn. But I have found a bunch of yarns where they take that plasticky metal tape and they wrap it around the outside. Like, what's the name of the yarn? Simply Soft Party has that, where they've just wrapped a metal plasticky yarn around the outside. And I've always found it to be kind of scratchy, and the little metallic thread always moves all over the place, and so you end up with it bunched up in places and stretched out in other places. It just doesn't really want to be part of the yarn. So this is really nice feeling. I think I did stats on this, or no, I think I just did fiber content. So this is a number 3 weight. It's a DK weight yarn. They recommend a 4mm knitting needle or US 6. Again, if you're using crochet hook, it's probably a little higher, probably a 4.5 to a 5, which would be a G to a, or 4.5 is a 7 hook. A 5 is an H hook. So like a 7 hook to a H hook. They are 50 gram balls, 165 meters, which does put it in the DK range. I'm trying to get to the hand wash. It looks like warm warm water, hand wash, no iron, no bleach. And realistically, when you have yarns with this much halo, you don't really want to machine wash them because that will get so pilled up on you. So really, like, lukewarm water and hand washing is the way to go on these yarns that have so much fuzz. So that does seem to be a little bit of a theme. We did buy a lot of yarns with a lot of halo, a lot of fuzz. Oh, and so my husband, it was saying this was $10 for the bag. There's 8 balls in there. And my brain stopped doing math. So 4 would be $2 a piece. No, $1.25 a piece. There we go. All right. Next one on the list here. This is tube cotton worsted. This was actually the one I was thinking about when somebody asked about a filled tube. So this is a pretty standard style construction on a tube yarn. It's a really, really fine cotton thread. I don't even know if we'll be able to get in tight enough to see. All right, if I stop moving, we can come in really, really close so you guys can see. Val's asking what the other one was called. It was called Marella, Mirella. It's sort of a rainbowy yarn with a glittery metallic part in there. So this is tube cotton worsted. And it is a really, really fine cotton thread. Looks like it's only about as thick as sewing machine thread, or even finer, that they've knit into like a solid tube. And it doesn't really have any hair or anything poking out of it. But if you peel it open on the end here, which I'm going to try and do on camera, and I'm probably going to fail at. But if you peel it open on the end, you can see like the tube will come apart, and that's just as thick as the cotton is. Just this teeny tiny little hair here. And then it is totally full of fluff all the way down the tube. And you can pull it and kind of slide the tube so that it collapses. You can see. And then I can slide it back down. But this is, let's see. It is 67% cotton, 33% polyamide. Which basically means that it's probably all cotton on the tube, and it is full of nylon fluff, would be my guess. I suppose that could be the other way around. All of the fluff could be cotton, and the tube could be nylon. But it's a cotton poly blend when all is said and done. They are calling it tube cotton worsted, so I'm betting it's a number 4, and it is. It is a number 4 weight yarn, which is a worsted weight. They say it's 50 grams or 80 meters. That's probably on the heavy end of worsted weight yarn. Probably getting into a chunky weight. They recommend a 4 to 5 millimeter knitting needle, which is a US 6 to 8. And again, they're saying hand wash in lukewarm water. No iron, no bleach. So, seems to be their pretty standard instructions there. Again, this is tube cotton worsted. I got 8 balls in a bag. And this is the color dark gray. What's that? Oh. Okay. Val's saying that's crazy. I'm not sure to which. Oh, when I pulled it apart. The filling. Sorry. Sometimes I miss where the comments come in and I lose a little bit of context. But yeah, that's how a lot of these, actually, the yarns that I've shown here, all of the ones that were what I called chainette style construction, where they make like a tube chain and then they fill it. Elizabeth's asking what you'd even make with this. Really, you can make anything that would be this weight yarn. It's really soft and smooth. I would not mind having this really up close to my face. a cowl, a hat, fingerless gloves like on your hands. All would be good options. But because it's cotton, you can, well, it's cotton filled with polyester or polyester filled with not with cotton. So you have to be a little bit careful using it around hot things, but you could use it for like a table runner, placemats, things like that. I probably would avoid making something like a pot holder, oven mitt, trivet thing like that, because the plastic portion will still melt at high temperature.
Didn't you just make something with a chainette recently?
I've made a bunch of stuff. Chainets are kind of coming out of the woodwork. Um,
But I mean, is there anything in the pile to show what you make with a chainette?
do I have anything made of a chainette? I'm kind of looking at my pile of stuff here. This is actually a cowl made out of a chainette yarn. So chainette yarns generally, unless you really, really know what you're looking for, you really don't notice the difference. Val's recommending slippers. I think slippers would be fine. This is a pretty slippery yarn. You might have to put like fluffy like puff paint or something to give yourself a little traction if you've got like hardwood floors, but it would be fine on carpet. Elizabeth saying after she saw the tube, it seemed more outdoor. Outdoor would probably be fine as well. I think Bernat Outdoor was a tube style yarn. So this is actually a chainette style yarn. It's a non-filled chain. So it was a big enough chain that they made that it was fluffy enough. So it didn't need to be filled. But this is a chainette style yarn, and really you couldn't tell. The only reason I know it was is because I made it. And I can see the detailing if I really start to look in on the stitches. You can see that they don't have twist to them. They have kind of a pattern to them. But you really have to know what you're looking for, and really be a crocheter or a knitter to notice. If you gave this as a gift, nobody would know that it wasn't just normal spun yarn. So this is a chainette style yarn that I've done in the past. This is a fun pattern to do. This is a Moogly pattern, and you make this cowl, and it has these really tall stitches in the middle. And what you'll notice is it doesn't have those really tall stitches in here. What you do is you take the first stitch and you bring the one below it up, and then you sort of like lace them through each other, and the very last stitch you end up with a loop that you have no stitches left to loop it through, and you loop it over this button. Can you go back in a little tighter? So it's a little bit confusing to explain, but you have these tall like ladder rungs, and I don't know if you guys can see that, but there's a loop and it's over this button. So the button is actually, if I took this button off, the entire thing would unravel and it would like pop open and you'd have this like ladder look to it. But it was kind of a fun thing to do because it made this really cool braid up the center. I don't remember what this is called, but if you go to Moogly blog, it's a free pattern on there. So you can see there's this braid detail here that's really unique. I'm kind of feeling like it's called like an up and down cowl or something like that. But I could be totally wrong on that. I'm trying to see if I've got anything else. I don't have anything else that's a tube style yarn like that, but it does really just work up like yarn. The tube style doesn't mean that it has to go to any one application in particular. You just treat it like normal yarn, and mostly it looks the same. And if you knew you made it, and you'll know that it's slightly different, but to the untrained or, gift recipients' eye, they won't know that it's any different. Is it a Jacob's ladder stitch? I am not familiar with that term, but it certainly could be. Really what it was like a septuple crochet. So like you have a single crochet and a double crochet. You yarned over like 6 or 7 times, and then you went yarn over, draw through 2, yarn over, draw through 2, yarn over, draw through 2, and you made a really, really crazy tall stitch. It was like this tall, and then you just took each of the loops and looped it through the next one, making like a braid. Did you find it?
Yeah, I found it, but I was saying you could actually open your laptop.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I have my yeah, I
Scroll down the page. There's a spot with 3 pictures that show what you're describing.
yeah. We'll show real quick. It is called the Ups and Downs crochet cowl. Let me get this open real quick. And scroll all the way down. I'll show you. Whoop. Okay. So this is what I was describing. Whoops, too far. Okay. So what I was describing here is you can see on this picture on the left, you can see those really tall, like wobbly stitches. They're like this tall. And then you pull, you swirl the first one, and then you pull the next one through it, and you pull the next one through it, and you pull the next one through it all the way around, and you make this long braid. And then when you get to the very last stitch, you still have a loop, and it has nowhere to go. And so you just wrap it around the button. So in the meantime, you just throw a stitch marker through it, and then you sew on a button, and then you just hook it over the button, and that's the end of it. But it worked up really cool. It was fun to make that little braid at the end. So again, this is Moogly Blog Ups and Downs Crochet Cowl. And my husband already threw the link in the live stream chat. So you guys can check that out if you like. But that was a fun cowl to make. All right, we're getting to the end here. I've got 2 left. This is Angora Elite. So we're back to rabbit Angora. 20% Angora, 20% wool, 60% acrylic. They, again, are saying hand wash, warm water, no bleach, no iron. 100-gram balls, 550 meters. Did we already open an Angora Elite? Non-elite? These numbers sound really familiar. This is Angora Elite, blue shades, gray shades, white. Yep.
The other one was Angora Print.
All right, so the other one was Angora Print. This is Angora Elite. This one feels colder. So normally when you handle 100% alpaca feels cold to the touch. It's really, really warm fiber when you wear it, and actually almost too warm in a lot of cases. I have a 100% alpaca hat that I can barely wear. Like this year, I don't think it really got cold enough to wear alpaca. It just is so hot when it holds so much heat to you. But when you touch alpaca, like a skein of alpaca, it feels cool to the touch. Like no matter how hot it is outside, the yarn actually feels cool to the touch. And this has a little bit of that quality. So I'm feeling probably the Angora is just a little bit cool to the touch. But is a very, very nice feeling yarn. It has just mega halo. For those of you who aren't familiar with what I'm calling halo, it's this hair that sticks off of a yarn. So yeah, it makes it look like cotton candy or just fluff. It's pretty hard to see. Okay. My husband's going to readjust the camera so you guys can try and see this a little bit. But halo is a term that I use a lot. It's something that I've seen used quite a bit online. Whether or not it's like the real term for it. But yeah, this fluff or fly or fuzz or whatever you want to call it. I call it halo. There are yarns that have a tendency to have a lot more halo. Mohair, alpaca, and apparently Angora all are are very halo-y yarns. They try to mimic that with acrylic. And a lot of times I think when they do it with acrylic that the acrylic feels a little bit crunchy and isn't as nice. But I guess the thing about halo is halo makes it hard to pull stitches out. The hairs that come off the outside will like interlock, and when you go to pull a stitch out, it's sort of attached to another part of the stitch and it won't pop out. So yeah, halo looks nice in a lot of cases, but can be pretty not beginner friendly. Because beginners have a tendency to need to pull their stitches out more often and fix something, and halo will fight you on that. So it also makes it more difficult to see your stitches and know where you're putting your hook. So it all around it. When you start out crocheting or start out knitting, you generally choose a yarn that is smooth. And that's a good beginner yarn, and yarns with a ton of halo are not generally good beginner yarns. But it still is a really nice yarn to work with as you level up or skill up, and feels really nice. Yeah, this one feels really nice. I think it feels nicer than the Angora print. The Angora Elite feels a little bit nicer, though I think it's the same blend. It might just be nicer Angora. This is 20% Angora, 20% wool, 60% acrylic, and this is 20% Angora, 20% wool, 60% acrylic. They are the same weight, and this one's slightly finer. About no, 20, 60. And 100-gram balls, 530 meters over here on Angora print, 550 meters over here on Angora Elite. So they're slightly different in weight. They are both claiming to be a number 2 weight, but I would definitely say 550 meters is at the very least at least a fingering weight, starting to push its way into lace weight. The Angora print is much less halo-y. There's almost nothing coming off of this. Some really long hairs that I can pull almost the whole thing out. Look at that. It's almost like human hair. It's that long is what I just pulled out of there. I don't know what that is. Really, really long rabbit hair, probably. Where the Angora Elite is really, really fuzzy. So, if you're a beginner and you want to try Angora, I would probably go Angora print. If you don't mind a little bit of halo and you want like a really soft, cozy, fluffy yarn, I would probably go Angora Elite. It is the nicer feeling of the two, I think. The Angora print comes in brighter colors, I believe. The Elite comes in more muted, I would say like fun versus like, I don't know, what do you want to say, like classy or adult colors. But I could be misremembering. They might have had some fun colors in the Elite. The Elite is $1 more a ball. Oh, for a pack. So they both were 400 grams per pack. $7 for the Elite and $6 for the Angora print. So it amounts to about a quarter a ball or something like that difference. So $1.50 to $1.75 a piece. And again, with shipping, we average $2 a ball. So there's that. Let's see, whole bunch of comments here. Okay. Yeah, Val's saying that the stitches have different names. In a lot of cases, stitches and techniques kind of all get muddled up, but I don't know if that also goes by Jacob's Ladder, but that is the technique that I used on that one, was that up and down cowl. Stamping Bandit saying that she likes the chainette. on Lion Brand feels like butter. Yeah, that's probably the biggest big box brand I can think is Lion Brand is using some chainette yarns. I think there's a couple available at Hobby Lobby, but primarily they seem to be really popular in like local yarn store and like I don't really want to say like next tier, but like one up from big box stores. Something recent, a whole bunch just came out from Lion Brand. Low Tide, like every yarn that I ordered in the last unboxing on the live stream. So Low Tide was chainette style. Dream Makers or something was a chainette, a filled tube style. A whole bunch of the ones that I just ordered from Lion Brand were all chainettes. And so was no, this thing. This is chainette, isn't it? Maybe not. It's actually real. I think it's just spun. I don't think it's chainette. Now that I'm looking at it. Anyway, chainettes are getting more popular, and I think they're just fine. Like, oh yeah, Scrub It from Yarn Bee, the Scrubology, like dishcloth yarn was a chainette style, filled tube chainette. They can be filled or unfilled, so I think they probably have slightly different names depending on whether they're filled or not, but I call them all chainette because they're all that style construction. Elizabeth asking if it was a quick process. I assume that she's talking about the ups and down cowl. Yeah, it worked really fast. The worst of it was just sewing the button on and like getting the position just the way I wanted it. And it really wasn't difficult. It was just me being picky. Val's saying that she thought the cool sensation was just me. I think that's a universal. Like, I think people generally feel that coolness. I'm not even sure what causes it, if I'm being perfectly honest, which I should know. Just between my work outside of crochet is fiber related, and my background is in the sciences, so I probably should look into more of that. But it is a thing that I think is pretty universal, that alpaca feels cool to the touch, despite being like super, super hot. Vel also saying that she likes your close-ups. So we operate, I know you said you're new to the stream, we operate 2 cameras, and at any given time we can swap back and forth. The other one has the ability to do zoom in and change while the camera on me over here is live. So we can kind of swap back and forth, which is nice, for doing really tight shots. It just requires me to hold still long enough, which I don't do. And Elizabeth mentioning that mohair has a lot of halo too. Agreed. Mohair, alpaca, angora, are all very halo-y. Where merino or a lot of the wools and really tend not to have as much fluff and fuzz. Okay. Alright, getting to the bottom. So, this is the last yarn, and then I've got a couple more things in the bag that I'm going to show you guys. This is a Viscose polyamide blend. And it is so slippery. It is on a cardboard tube. You can see that it, like, has that shape to it from the cardboard tube. It's so slippery. And you guys can probably see like the shine to it there. Viscose is a cellulosic, a cellulosic material. So it's not, how do I want to say this? It's made by breaking down a natural material into just cellulose and then extruding it into a yarn. So it's not just like they took cotton fluff and split it up and now and then spun it into yarn. They had to do a chemical process, but it is from a natural material. I don't remember which material they make viscose out of. Some of the cellulosics are modal, tencel, rayon from bamboo. I think viscose a lot of times is rayon and bamboo.
Viscose is a type of rayon.
It's a type of rayon.
It looks like it's made from wood and agricultural products.
Okay, so viscose is made from wood and agricultural products. So it's just any old cellulose. Every plant is cellulose, and they can just take whatever cellulose and just turn it into viscose. But the end result is that it is a super slippery, shiny yarn. And all of those yarns, tencel, modal, viscose, rayon, are all very, very slippery. But despite sounding like they might be synthetic, like polyester or nylon, rayon, viscose, tencel, modal are all from natural sources via a chemical process. And then this one is blended with polyamide, which definitely is a plastic.
Acrylic is from natural dinosaurs, isn't it?
Well, yes. All right, so these are 50-gram balls, 175 meters. They are 3mm knitting needle, which is a US 3. They're calling this a number 2 fine weight, which is a sport weight. This could be a really, really nice shawl. It would be very like slippery and slinky. It could be a doily or a like placemat, table runner, anything that you'd want to make like kind of fine work out of. Certainly could be a hat or a cowl or something like that, but I think things that are like lacy and slinky are the types of things that you'd want to make out of this. Yeah, really, really a lot of stitch definition. This has got a ton of twist to it. And just really no hair to speak of. So it's just is like, it's almost like greased up or oily. Like it's so slippery. It might actually be a little bit tricky to work with because it might slip your hook quite a bit. So if you're trying to make your stitches too fast, you might find the yarn jumping off the hook. So, anyway, this is called Viscose Brilliante. Viscosa Brilliante in lilac. So this is a viscose yarn. All of their yarns are labeled hand wash in lukewarm water, no bleach, no iron. They're pretty pretty consistent on that. There is the you want to flip back real quick. That's what I was trying to say there. Viscosa Brilliante. So that's the yarn name there. So there you go. All right, so that is all the yarns. There's 6 balls in there. Do you have a price on those?
Those are $5.99.
So $6 for the bag here. So $1 a ball. So this is one of the spots where we got. They ended up averaging more expensive than what we paid for them because they brought the average down somewhere else. All right, so the last couple of things in here. There is randomly a coaster. It says Ice Yarns on this side. It's got a little bit of dirt up in the corner. And it matches the bag. If you saw at the very beginning, they sent me a bag in the order as well. I don't know if that comes with every order, if that's a because I ordered like a bucket, a whole hay bale worth of yarn there. Just a whole bunch. So yeah, free dirt. It on the back, it just has their Instagram, Facebook, website, and email address. So, a coaster. And then at the very last minute when we were ordering, I saw that they also had 2 packs of pom-poms. And these were, I think, $3 per pack, so $1.50 a pom-pom. And if I get them floofed up, they're not gigantic. They need a little bit more fluffing. But they had this really, really intense, like, Kelly green. It's looking a little dark on my screen, but hopefully it looks as bright as it is in person. And it's just a couple of weeks to St. Patrick's Day, so I might have to whip a hat up real quick. Central Illinois has a really, really large St. Patrick's Day parade, and I go every year because I like St. Patrick's Day, and it's probably the longest parade consistently that I've ever been to. Somewhere on the order of about an hour and a half of actual, like, parade going past you, which is just an insanely long parade. So, I go every year, and it's a lot of fun, but this is a really, really good St. Patrick's Day green. So I got 2 of those. I got 2 in mint green as well. Mint green is really like an aqua teal. This one's got a little bit longer fur to it. And it's shedding. Alright, so yeah, this one's pretty gigantic pom-pom. For reference, like, there's my hand size, so, that's a pretty gigantic one. Like I said, a little bit bigger fluff than the green one. Looks like we killed a whole bunch of trolls here. And then I got 2 that have metallic sparkle in them. And these are real long as well. These are really hard pom-poms, too. Like, a lot of times they're kind of softer, squishier in the center. These are not. They feel like they are wrapped around a golf ball. Like, I guess I can squish just a little bit, so maybe not a golf ball, but maybe like a ping pong ball. Yeah. The rabbit one that I have definitely is that hard. But anyway, so there, and this one's got, these like little metallic fibers mixed in as well. They are the kind that sew on with thread. Sometimes there's like a little loop and a jump ring or like a little, jewelry type ring on the bottom side. I think I prefer those, but I don't mind this style. And these threads feel very secure. So, let's see. Val's saying that the review is very thorough and it's a big help. That's great feedback. Thank you for letting me know. I know that this can kind of drag on a little bit if people just want to see stuff quickly, but I think it's helpful, especially because we're not able to get a full review on every yarn that I order. I really like to have finished projects done before I do a review, which means I have to work up a project, and with the amount of yarn I just bought and the amount of yarn that I'll probably buy next week, those things kind of get pushed back. So I try and do a thorough job so that if people come across this video, that they can get the information that they need and like an initial impression on all of the yarns that I unbox. And then the scientific background is just me kind of bringing in my outside. People who watch regularly know that I work with yarn professionally as well as a hobby. And so some of that kind of bleeds back and forth. And I'm a chemist, yeah. So the science kind of comes in, but yeah. And then Elizabeth and Val both saying that they've enjoyed the interaction. I'm glad that you guys like this format. This really works very well for me too. And it's so much more fun when you guys are commenting a whole bunch and I can talk back and forth, rather than just talking to a crowd that doesn't interact back. Like when I make a video where I have to talk, and then I know nobody's going to respond because it's a scripted video or a video that we're going to release later. So the live stream is really fun because we can talk back and forth, and you guys can answer questions. Ask and I can answer. Joyce also is agreeing that it's helpful to see the yarn and hear the thoughts. And Val saying just nerdy enough, not boring at all. So that's good. Yeah, if I'm rambling too much, my husband will usually rein me in a little bit. But it doesn't happen that often that I get too far in the weeds. There's quite a bit of fuzz on the table after opening those pom-poms. Hopefully they don't continue to shed. That's just the fluff up. All right. That is the end of the ice yarns. But not the end of the stream. I've got a couple things I want to show you. So I did say I bought a loom over the weekend. This is an Ashford Sample It loom. It's the 16-inch size. I got it at my local yarn store. The yarn store closest to me is Fiber Universe in Peoria, Illinois. And her prices on the Ashford looms were better than most of the online prices I saw, and definitely better than Amazon's prices. So this loom, I think, was $180, which is a big investment, but it's kind of an all or nothing with weaving. You kind of either have to just invest in the loom or not weave with a loom. You can do weaving with like smaller square things, and but there's kind of it's not like crochet where you can just get a hook and a ball of yarn and be started crocheting for like $6. There's a kind of a equipment cost that goes into it. So this is a yarn from Leading Men Fiber Arts. It's a BFL. BFL is Blue Faced Leicester. It's not the softest, coziest yarn, but it shows stitches just beautifully. And so I thought it might be a good choice for weaving because it'll just really show the texture. And it is doing that job, certainly. It does feel a bit like burlap right now. It doesn't feel amazing. But I'm hoping once I get it off and it's not under so much tension, I think if I turn this around and tip it, my husband might be able to get some texture, so you guys can see a little bit better.
What do you want, just the fiber?
Yeah, just down here. And so you can see here, really has a nice texture because it's like a kettle dyed style yarn. So there's lighter and darker parts. There's a really nice texture, and like patterning happening, even though I'm just doing the simplest, plainest weave possible, which is just one up, one down, one up, one down, type of weave. So, but these are kind of fun. I don't know if you guys have ever worked with this style of loom, but I was just going to show you for those of you who haven't. So this is the reed. This is a rigid heddle style loom. And all you do is you pick up the reed and you move it to the up position. I've got it the tension really high. And so you put it in the up position and then you can pass the yarn through on the shuttle. And then once you're all the way through and you've fixed your edges, you put it into the down position. And what happens is half of your yarns are through these little holes here. And when you move it to the down position, it drags them down and holds them down over here. So all of these yarns right here on the bottom were the yarns. And you can watch as I move it back and forth. So they're right here. And now as I pull them up, they all came up with the heddle. So hopefully, or with the reed. So you can see they're down here, and now they're up here. And the other yarns are free to move up and down. But these ones are trapped in the little holes here along the way. And that's really all it is. It's just up and down, up and down. And run the shuttle back and forth in between. And then as you put a few here, like you run the shuttle back and forth, what I'm doing is running them back and forth 3 times, and then you slide the reed and you beat the yarn so that it lays with the rest of the yarn. You can do it in different intervals. There's different patterns. There's different ways to... so this part here is the beam or the warp. And then you've got your weft is what you're making when you go back and forth. So warp and weft are the directions. The warp, you could make it different ways so that you can do different patterns. You can do the weft different ways. You can run different yarns in different directions. All will give different looks, different patterns, to make plaid and, stripes and all sorts of different things. So I've learned like this tiny much about weaving. And so I'm, I don't know, 2.5, 3 feet into a scarf. That seems like, Val's saying it looks like a nice size. It seems like it's a pretty comfortable size. It's a 16-inch. 16 inches is not the width of the loom. It's the width of the largest piece of fabric you can make on the loom. So the loom itself is like 18-ish inches wide. But the largest fabric it makes is 16 inches wide. So you can do like a table runner, placemats, dish towels, and scarves. Maybe like a stole, like a thick scarf wrap type of thing. But that's pretty much the limit. If you want to make a blanket, a throw, fabric, you can actually make fabric. Like, you can make a fabric and then sew around it and cut it and make it into something else, like a handbag or a tote or something like that. If you want to make like bigger pieces of fabric, then you have to get a bigger loom. Rigid heddles, I think the biggest one I saw available just like regularly was 48 inches. And that would be absolutely massive. That'd be 4-foot piece of fabric, which is really getting to the size of like actual purchasable fabric at 48 inches. So, I think most fabrics, if you go into Joann Fabric, are like 54 inches wide. So, and then really the last thing that I have to show you guys is what I've been working on. So I showed the picture real quick on Instagram. For those of you who missed the very beginning of the stream, I am doing like a little bit of a Instagram photo challenge. It's National Crochet Month. I've seen a whole bunch of people do these in the past and just kind of nothing this year. Usually like Marley Bird and several designers will do stuff for National Crochet Month, and I haven't seen almost anything. So I just kind of made my own. I looked at a whole bunch of other ones and I shared that earlier, but if you go to either Facebook or Instagram, you can see the little picture that I made up. So day 1 was introduce yourself. Day 2 was your favorite color. Day 3 is today. It's March 3rd. And it was what's on your hook. And so the project that I'm working on, like most regularly, I always have like 100 projects that I can work on, that I've got in various project bags around the house. But the one that I'm working on, like that has my focus right now, is this little mermaid. This is based off a doll that I bought from Walmart, that sits just like this. So the whole tail of the doll is floppy, but it's weighted like on its butt. And so it sits and it can sit on the edge of a shelf or on the table or whatever, and just sit with the tail kind of laid out in front or hanging down the shelf, which I thought was kind of a fun design. I didn't see anything on Ravelry that was similar. So as far as making this, I freehanded the tail. I freehanded the body of the mermaid here. So it just really was make a sphere, shrink down to the neck size, and then go back up for the body, sort of fill it in. I had to do a little bit of different work for the base. So normally you would finish and you'd come to like a ball shape, but because I wanted this to sit flat, I ended really open and sewed on a disc. And so that's a little bit different way to finish this off. The hair, I have been working a bit off of a pattern that I had that I'm going to make some major modifications to. But I really like this curly hair. However, if I turn the doll around, what I'm not loving is the bald head underneath the like one layer of curls. And so what I'm working on making is sort of designed off of how doll hair goes in. So if you ever look really closely at like an American Girl doll, their hair is stitched in like stripes, and then the layers kind of fall. And so what I'm doing is a similar thing. I've got a like half round disc that fits up here. And then I have the curls attached to one side of the disc. So you can see there's the half round disc that fits up under these curls. So when I put the curls down, one, you don't see the bald head color underneath anymore. But it's going to give another layer of curls that are going to be able to come down a little bit lower and give the mermaid hair to here. So what I'm doing here is I made this half round circle, and I'm doing the curls along here. But then when I get to the end here, because I'm only working in the back loops, I'm going to be able to put another row of double crochet or two on top, and then I can do another row of curls. And so that's my goal here, is to make a couple of layers of hair that are going to cover to about here. And then the curls will layer very nicely and lay down nice. And I think I'm going to leave the hair all curly. The pattern that I was following showed the hair being worked straight and like flattened all out and then glued down. But I think I like the hair curly. It feels more mermaidy somehow. It's a little Medusa-y right now, but I think I can tame that a little bit. And then right now the hair is just pinned on to the top of her head, and all of her bangs are pinned down. Because if I pull the pins out, they just like immediately pop up and like spring straight out. So these are probably actually going to have to be fabric glued down and then pinned in place. And yeah, they'll have to be pinned and like glued so that they stay looking like bangs and don't look crazy. I still need to make like a top and arms. So those are yet to come, but I did attach the tail last night. So this is what I'm working on right now. This yarn I thought was a really good match for a mermaid. This is one of the Hobby Lobby Sugar Wheel yarns. It's 100% cotton that does color change. And then this yarn is actually by Sirdar, Sirdar. Happy is the name of this yarn. It's also 100% cotton, but I thought it was a really good match for the tail color. Like if I get them close, you can see this portion of the tail and the hair are really similar. And so I thought they were sufficiently close that I could make a decent mermaid out of them, and they looked nice together. I probably need to choose one of these 4 or 5 colors in here for a top color. I'm leaning towards like a blue. One of these blues in here. You can see there's a couple options in color there. So that is what I'm working on. So a couple of questions from okay, so let's see. What size hook did I use? For the hair, I've been using a C hook. 2.75 millimeter, I think. Do I have my hook in here? I only have the orange one, which is too big. Yeah, that's a 3 1/4. So, For the hair, I've been using a C hook. It's a 2.75 millimeter hook. I'm almost positive. For the body, I used a B hook, which is a 2.25, 2.25. The body yarn is Simplicity by Skasel or Skasel. Simplicity. It's Karen's birthday suit. Karin's birthday suit. And it's a really good Caucasian skin tone. Which is pretty hard to find. I've mentioned this before on stream. Like, skin tones in general are just really difficult to match. You get things that are too blah. Like the tan and brown and peach are all too pink or too something. Too saturated, maybe, is really the right descriptor. And so skin tones are really difficult to find. This one was a pretty good match. So Sirdar Happy, which is 100% cotton, Skasel or Skasel, Simplicity, and then Hobby Lobby's Sugar Wheel are the 3 yarns that I've used so far. I don't know what I'm going to use. Maybe more Happy, maybe what is the name of that? Sheeps or ships. Yeah, Katan or Katana. I think Katana. It's a company out of the Netherlands, but I have a whole bunch of little cotton balls of yarn that I can use. Probably just enough. So, what's that? Yeah, they did get damaged in the flood, and they've got some issues, but I think I can wash a single ball well enough to use. They're one of the only things that got damaged that I tried to save and that got mildewy. And it mostly seems to be on the labels, but the yarn might not be good inside. Just yeah, we had a huge basement flood several months ago. And we were not able to stream for a while, and we had all sorts of problems. So let's see. Vel's saying that it's like seaweed. That's probably why I like the curls so much. It's seaweedy because, like, normally when you see, like, I don't know, I'm thinking of like the Little Mermaid. Her hair is perfectly straight and flowy. It's not like seaweed, but this seemed better somehow. Helen is saying, you can make hair curly in an oven. You wrap it, wet it, place it in the oven at 2 1/4, make a wig and attach it. Holly from Proper Pineapple has a tutorial on it. Okay. So she's just suggesting that you can make the curls, by wrapping and wetting and then or maybe not even wetting, but just drying them. I don't know if that is with acrylic yarn, and that's why it sets in the oven. This is 100% cotton, 225 Fahrenheit on cotton. It's probably fine. It's a little warm for cotton, but not fire hazard, but like it's a little hotter than. I mean it's probably fine. Yeah, it would be similar to curling your hair, I guess. Yeah, that's probably true. You might actually be able to curl it with a really cool curling iron. If you have a curling iron, you can adjust the temperature on. You can get teeny tiny curling irons, but yeah. What you can do though, if you crochet, is you just put more stitches on one side of a chain than it needs. So you can make tighter curls that hold tighter and won't come undone by just putting 2 single crochets into every chain. These are just made by only working 1 loop of the chain. So so when you work into a chain, you've got 3 loops. You've got your front loop, your back loop, and then like the back bump. If you work normally, you work between the front loop and back loop and your back bump. So you're picking up the 2 top loops. I'm only picking up 1 loop and just always picking up the same side of the chain all the way around. And they just naturally make this spiral, but they are pretty easy to comb out. So you can like get it to cooperate. And see, if I pull this out, like every time I run my hand back past it, it'll want to stay more and more. But it's pretty easy just to take it and curl it back up, and it stays pretty well as well. So, yeah, the wig cap. Well, this whole thing is sort of a wig. And then, but like this is more of like this piece here is more like a doll wig, where I'm going to do layers of curls and attach them into the back like this. So, and then these curls will lay on top of that blue piece, and sort of that blue piece will get lost in there, and then there'll be more curls on the blue piece that hang lower. So, it should give a little bit more body to the mermaid's hair. So, but yeah. So that is all that I have for tonight. Hopefully you guys enjoyed opening the ice yarns and saw something that caught your eye. My mermaid doesn't really want to sit up here. I have to keep... It's like a 5-month-old baby. Not quite ready to sit up. But yeah, the ice yarns was fun. I enjoyed. It was kind of a little nerve-wracking because you have no idea what you're getting and what's like how well the colors are going to match up, or if anything's ever going to show up, because it gets lost in customs or something like that. But we went ahead and ordered it, and I think we got some good stuff. I know my husband is itching to make some like machine knit hats or whatever with the various yarns that we got. He'll probably take one of those universe yarns on our way out of the recording studio and go make something. So there's a lot of yarn. So yeah. So are there any
I think we may have lost connection for a second. I'm not sure.
Okay. Hang tight 1 second. We're double checking to make sure that we're still connected. If any of you can still hear me, and want to throw that in the chat, that'd be helpful. Okay, Val's noticing that we blocked some messages. Yeah, there's somebody throwing comments in there, but that's fine. Okay, I think maybe we're still live. We'll find out if nobody responds. So yeah, if you guys have any questions, if you have any suggestions on things that you'd like to see next week, trying to think if I've got any particular topics in mind, but I don't off the top of my head. I am going yarn shopping this weekend, so there is a trunk show at a yarn store a little bit further away from my house. So I'm meeting up with a friend, and I'm sure I'll buy yarn and bring that back for next week. But if there's other topics you guys want to talk about, yeah, throw those in the you can you can throw those into the chat, or you can put them in the comment section if you're watching this as a playback. You can also message me at Experiments Crafting on both Facebook and Instagram. We have a little bit of a National Crochet Month challenge going on, so if you want to participate in that, you're welcome to. Or we also have the Facebook group trying to get its bearings and take off a little bit. So hopefully people can start sharing things in that. Helen asked if I was going to make a pattern for that. I think I just missed that comment. It rolled off the top. I might. So the thing about amigurumi, or stuffed animals in general, is they are a ton of pieces, and you don't think about like each individual little piece. And I haven't written any patterns, but as far as a video tutorial, this would be like absolutely massive as a video tutorial, because each of the like here is one part, and then I did some increases, and I did some more increases, and I did some weird things in the back. So I might try, but I wouldn't guarantee that I will get it done in any reasonable time frame. But I might do some sort of like talk you through how I did it, and for those who have some skill at doing some amigurumi and have done them in the past, they might be able, it might be useful enough. For those who are beginners, I can try and suggest some resources that might be a little bit more flushed out, I guess. People who have done this in the past. This is more of something that I was just doing for me because I thought it would be fun. And I'm enjoying sharing updates, but as I've been working through it, I was thinking, oh, I can make a tutorial on that, and like each piece after piece is making it feel like it's less likely to happen. But I wouldn't write it off completely. I might still try and turn it into some sort of tutorial. So, yeah. A lot of chatter on trolls. Val saying I can get a pattern writer. Yeah, that's, I guess, a possibility. There are people who do technical, tech editing and tech writing. So that's an option, that I haven't really considered. It's one of those things where I feel like I should be able to do it, and then I just don't have time. So like I said, I've worked full time as well, and this is sort of a side hobby type of thing. So yeah, maybe I will get it turned into a pattern. But in the meantime, I'm just having fun playing right now. I'm down in like the really nitty-gritty type of detail where I'm putting, additional layers in the hair, and I've got to figure out how I'm going to put the arms on. And like I have to go in and glue each of these bangs down and decide like exactly where I want the part on this. And I'm probably going to put a nose on here, but I don't know if I'll put a mouth or not. So it's all like this little detail work, and it's been kind of fun because it's a different type of attention to detail than just a complicated shawl pattern, which are also fun, but in a really different type of way. So, all right. Well, if there are no additional questions for tonight, we'll probably wrap up for the evening. And we usually stream at 8 o'clock Central Time on Tuesdays. If I'm not going to be able to stream, we try and post it on Facebook, Instagram, and on the community tab of YouTube. Last week we canceled pretty late. Normally I know by 5, 6, 7 o'clock. But I think it was about 8 o'clock when we decided to cancel. But hopefully this week made up for it. You guys got to see all the ice yarns. And we should be streaming next week on Tuesday. At this time, I don't know of any reason we wouldn't. So, that will be the plan, and hopefully all of you can join us again. Have a great rest of your week, and thank you all for watching. Have a good night. Bye.